Months ago, as the worship planning team began talking about this month's theme, resilience, we thought that focusing on climate change would be an important topic, as it certainly is. Little did we know that after that, Australia would burn, droughts would happen around the world, floods also around the world would ravage lands. Our essential sense of how we connect to the natural world has been shaken. For many of us, our visceral concern and fear about climate change is lodged in our brain, our rational being. And yet, our deeper concern about climate change and our relationship within the complexity of life on Earth is more than a mental function. It is held in our bodies, it's held in our psyches. Our fear is woven into our cells, even as we often disconnect ourselves from nature. This morning, I invite us to engage with our relationship to climate change from a different place. We're going to share a peace ritual which is practiced around the world in Sufi communities that are part of the Sufi lineage of which I'm a member. This ritual calls on us to nurture a connection between our inner ecosystem, that which resides in our hearts, and the ecosystems that we find around the world. Our inner ecosystem is that emotional, spiritual, psychic, meaning-based way we live and breathe. So I invite us to participate in this ritual as a reminder of our relationship within nature. In this way, we can understand more deeply our profound connection to ultimate reality of which we are a part and without which we could not exist. The great Indian Sufi mystic Hazrat Inayat Khan's most basic teaching states, there is one holy book, the sacred manuscript of nature, the only scripture which can enlighten the reader. A product of traditional Indian Sufism that he brought to the United States in the late 1800s, his language is more traditional than we might use. But here is something he taught. Every form of the natural world is the expression of the incorruptible, unchanging, ultimate reality as it continually manifests as interdependent relative existence. In other words, we can uncover divinity, our very being, through seeing the face of God shining as the beauty of nature. We illuminate our experience of self, of the ultimate, through understanding the essence in the rhythms and manifestations of nature. We learn by preparing the soul of the heart, planting the seed of intention, watering the soil of our efforts with flow and ease, weeding the soil of our confusion, composting it into more fertility for the message to bloom, gaining strength and working together through our interdependence with the rhythms of night and day, the seasons and climates of other beings, and offering up the fruit of our experience for the benefit of all sentient beings. Here he reminds us that our very existence is interdependent with the rhythms and relationships we find in nature. And this is all. The air, the plants, the water, all beings, they are all sacred and divine in the most inclusive sense of what divinity is. My own teacher, Murshid Sadi, says some 12 to 20,000 years ago, the first humans to realize what a seed really was and that it would be possible to plant and harvest food began a precarious revolution that took us from being wandering nomads to settled agriculturalists. The danger was that we would forget we are always dependent on something greater than the small self, that little self which is ego and selfishly oriented. On something greater than the small self, we need to focus on the mystery behind nature, the source of all. This understanding of nature is called zirat, a concept found in classical Arabic. Zirat is the whole process of planting, from planting to sowing to harvesting, as well as to the way nature itself goes through its own cycles, unrelated to any usefulness for human beings. Our ancestors, who were the original seed cultivators, would have understood their work as finding balance between untamed nature and that which is cultivated. So here we are at Imbolc, at that balance point. The concept of Zirat reminds us of how dependent we are on the processes within the natural world, of which, let's face it, we pay very little attention to that. This morning, I invite us to humbly acknowledge that we are living beings, animal beings, who exist only because our interdependence with other life forms makes it possible for us to live. On many levels, we have learned to be resilient. Yet we forget that for many of the beings with whom we are independent, they are not so resilient. The reality of the fragility of our interdependence within the natural world reminds me of a teaching from Neil Douglas Klotz, who said more than once that the most destructive mistranslation in the Hebrew Scriptures was the concept that human beings have dominion over the earth, rather than human beings have dominion with other living beings, with the earth. That's a completely different worldview and way of looking at and being in connection with nature. Today we honor with humility the plants, animals, human beings, and ecosystems living on each continent. In just a moment we will water a plant that originated on each land mass. Things from several people's homes. Thank you for those of you who brought plants. As with many rituals from religions across the human family, we use water as a blessing. As we water each plant, representing a continent, let us set our intention to honor and to bless the part of the world represented by a single living thing, a humble plant. And we're going to move around the world, starting with the continent just east of us and end up in North America. In unison with the love behind all love, we water the plant from and representing the wisdom growing from the earth and water from the fire and the air of Europe. Of Africa. Of the Middle East. Of Asia. Of Australia and Oceania. Of South America. And in Clemson Orange. Of North America. We are part of the earth, connected in so many ways to the plants, the animals, the ecosystems, the human beings of each of the continents. We also honor today the wisdom teachings and practices of the rich and varied cultures from around the world. And we begin with the Sufi invocation, which is a blessing to the unity of all wisdom, the one into which the wisdom of all the illuminated souls throughout time and history is united. Toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the message, the spirit of guidance. And so, in unison with the light behind all light, we offer our respect and gratitude for the wisdom inspired by the earth and water, by the fire and air of Europe.
In praise of the earth, let us bless the imagination of the earth that knew early the patience to harness the mind of time, waited for the seas to warm, ready to welcome the emergence of things dreaming of voyaging among the stillness of land, and how light knew to nurse the growth until the face of the earth brightened beneath a vision of color. When the ages of ice came and sealed the earth inside an endless coma of cold, the heart of the earth held hope, storing fragments of memory ready for the return of the sun. Let us thank the earth that offers ground for home and holds our feet firm to walk in space open to infinite galaxies. Let us salute the silence and certainty of mountains, their sublime stillness, their dream-filled hearts, the wonder of a garden, trusting the first warmth of spring until its black infinity of cells becomes charged with dream. Then the silent, slow nurture of the seed's self, coaxing it to trust the act of death. The humility of the earth that transfigures all that has fallen of outlived growth. The kindness of the earth opening to receive our warm forms into the final stillness. Let us ask forgiveness of the earth for all our sins against her, for our violence and poisonings of her beauty. Let us remember within us the ancient clay, holding the memory of seasons, the passion of the wind, the fluency of water, the warmth of fire, the quiver touch of the sun, and shadowed sureness of the moon, that we may awaken to live to the full the dream of the earth, who chases to emerge and incarnate its hidden night in mind, spirit, and light. By Jeanne.
Today, we are faced with a challenge that calls for a shift in our thinking so that humanity stops threatening its own life support system. We are called to assist the earth to heal her wounds and in the process heal our own. Indeed, to embrace the whole of creation in all its diversity, beauty, and wonder. Recognizing that sustainable development, democracy, and peace are indivisible is an idea whose time has come. And so I offering my prayer to you from Wangari Maathai from Africa. I want to do the right things. I want to plant trees. I want to make sure that the indigenous forests are protected, because I know whatever happens, these are the forests that contain biodiversity. These are the forests that help us retain water when it rains and keep our rivers flowing. These are the forests that many future generations will need.
This is not great literature or inspiration. I'm sorry, yours is great. I'm going to share another one that's, I'm going to share one that is not, I have fallen in love with a whole series of books, the #1 ladies detective agency. This isn't Victor Hugo, right? Like the wonderful words that Susan and Susan sang. And yet, they warm my heart because there's so much negative publicity about different countries in Africa. And you read books where the characters love the land and love their country and love Africa. It's so heartwarming to me. You are stuck hearing a quote. And this is the main character's husband as he realizes he's falling in love with her. He looked at her in the darkness, at this woman who was everything to him. Mother, Africa, wisdom, understanding, good things to eat, pumpkins, chicken, the white sky across endless, endless bush, and the giraffe that cried, giving its tears for women to daub on their baskets. Oh, Botswana, my country, my place. Let us join together in unison with the light behind all light. We offer our respect and gratitude for the wisdom inspired by the earth and water, by the fire and air of the Middle East. Normally, people, when they think of the Middle East, and poets would choose Rumi, but I love Hafiz's poetry also. He wrote, even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky. turn to responsive reading 607. I love this quote from Jeanne's Done. Cloak yourselves in 1,000 ways, still shall I know you, my beloved.
Veil yourself with every enchantment, and yet I shall feel you, presence most dear, close and intimate.
I shall salute you in the springing of cypresses and in the sheen of lakes, the laughter of fountains.
I shall surely see you in tumbling clouds, in brightly embroidered meadows.
O beloved presence, more beautiful than all the stars together.
I trace your face in ivy that climbs, in clusters of grapes, in morning flaming mountains, in the clear arch of sky.
You gladden the whole earth and make every heart great.
You are the reading of the world.
Join me. In unison with the light behind all light, we offer our respect and gratitude for the wisdom inspired by the earth and water, by the fire and air of Asia. Jeanne, would you like to share?
This is a Zen blessing version of the Buddhist practice of loving kindness for ourselves and for all forms of life. Let us vow to bear witness to the wholeness of life, realizing the completeness of each and everything. Embracing our differences, I shall know myself as you, and you as myself. May we serve each other for all our days, here, there, and everywhere. Let us vow to open ourselves to the abundance of life, freely giving and receiving. I shall care for you, for the trees and stars as treasures of my very own. May we be grateful for all our days, here, there, and everywhere. Let us vow to forgive all hurt caused by ourselves and others, and to never condone hurtful ways. Being responsible for my actions, I shall free myself and you. Will you free me too? May we be kind for all our days, here, there, and everywhere. Let us vow to remember that all that appears will disappear. In the midst of uncertainty, I shall sow love. Here now, I call to you. Let us together live the great peace that we are. May we give no fear for all our days, here, there, and everywhere.
Join me. In unison with the light behind all light, we offer our respect and gratitude for the wisdom inspired by the earth and water, by the fire and air of Australia and Oceania. This is a poem called Tribal Land by an indigenous poet. An old tribal warrior stares across his picturesque country far as his failing eyes can see, wondering what's going to happen to his beautiful place, knowing what will happen to him. Will my tribe forget the tradition, our totem and our songs? Will my land be taken away from us for development grazing rights, a venture for new mines. Where will all my tribe go? Will they understand? O Spirit of my ancestral dreaming, guide them to keep our tribal land and keep on with our tradition, the lingo of my clan. I hang my head in sorrow now. Time for me to go. I hear the didgeridoo and the clapstick, boomerang, last corroboree. Sadly, in my heart, knows. May my spirit watch over my clan, for now I leave my tribal land. And a Maori reading. The word mana is an Oceanic word that's in 29 living languages, but it's not easily translatable into English. And so Carlo Mila, a woman Maori poet, writes this poem to try to define. When you flow through my body, I know I'm caught in the current of a river larger than the length of my own lifetime. It bends where we all have been before. Same rapids, other waters, our veins, my blood. I know I'm in the flow of something greater than my own self. Let us join together in unison with the light behind all light. We offer our respect and gratitude for the wisdom inspired by the earth and water, by the fire and air of South America. Paulo Coelho, Brazilian author who's a favorite of mine, writes, how can we be so arrogant? The planet is, was, and always will be stronger than us. We can't destroy it. If we overstep the mark, the planet will simply erase us from its surface and carry on existing. Why don't they start talking about not letting the planet destroy us? Let's turn to 532. Ernesto Campanal was a radical Marxist monk who worked with indigenous people in Latin America. This is one of my favorite readings. 532. The music of the spheres. Its rhythms are the equal, repeated seasons, the beating of the heart.
Day and night, the going and returning of migratory birds.
The cycles of stars and corn.
The motion that unfolds by day and folds up again by night.
Rhythms of moon and tide, one single rhythm in planets, atoms, sea.
And apples that ripen and fall in line beauty.
Melody, accord, arpeggios, the harp of the universe, unity behind apparent multiplicity.
That is the music.
In unison with the light behind all light, we offer our respect and gratitude for the wisdom inspired by the earth and water, by the fire and air of North America.
This is called Messenger by one of our favorite poets, Mary Oliver. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, equals seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums, here the clam deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. Phoebe, the delphinium, the sheep in the pasture, and the pasture, which is mostly rejoicing, since all the ingredients are here, which is gratitude, to be given a mind and a heart, and these body clothes, a mouth with which to give shouts of joy, to the moth and the wren, to the sleepy dug-up clam, telling them all, over and over, how it is that we live forever.
What a blessing the cultures of this earth are. And how do we live in harmony with the earth? We begin by acknowledging our interdependence with plants and animals. We give and receive breath. So to be in harmony with life itself, our breath must breathe with the earth. Let us be intentional about our breath as we reflect on our relationship with the elements of the earth. There are 5 different breaths that honor different aspects of creation. The explanation is written in your bulletin, but I will guide us. And we begin first with the invocation toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the message, the spirit of guidance. So first we breathe just a few 5 breaths in and out of our nose, honoring how we are grounded in the earth. We breathe our bones which support life. And so we breathe in and out, setting our intention that our breaths may be in harmony with the earth. In and out. We are part of the earth, becoming conscious of itself. And we are water. We breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. Imagine bringing in water that's the fluid in our bodies, the fluid we need to live, the fluid that flows through our muscles, flowing life. Breathing in and out. We are part of the water becoming conscious of itself. And we are fire. We breathe in through our mouth and out through our nose. Fire is heartbeat, blood, pulsing life, vision, energy. We breathe in and out. We are part of the fire becoming conscious of itself. We are air. We breathe in and out through our mouth, sipping air. Air covers our breath, it's our skin, it's changeable, it helps us move freely through life. Breathing in and out. We are part of the air, becoming conscious of itself. And then in attunement with all the elements of the earth, Let us just breathe in and out normally. We breathe with a harmonious breath of all the elements together in fullness. We are part of the earth, the water, the fire, the air, becoming conscious of itself. We represent, all living things represent the ability to be resilient. We are resilient and we are part of the breath of nature, becoming conscious of itself. And so let us breathe for just a moment, holding up different aspects of the world. So, in unison with the life behind all life, we breathe the peace of a possible new beginning, the hope of new creation, with the water and earth, with the fire and air of Europe, of the Middle East, of Asia, of Australia and Oceania, of South America, of North America, of the whole planet, of the whole cosmos. And so, in a spirit of peace and understanding, I invite us to repeat 11 times. It's printed in your order of service. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. In unison with the delight of the one, we desire to have peace and healing. May it be so. Amen. Blessed be.